Please think twice before moving your f-pawn. On second thoughts, perhaps you should think 3 times. Or 4.
Thank you, Monica. In this lecture, I'm going to remind you about something you should definitely not do in your games during the opening, and that's moving your f-pawn. Why? Well, the reason why is that whenever you move your f-pawn, you weaken this dangerous diagonal. Same thing if you're black. It's a very dangerous diagonal. And quite often the consequences of that weakness will be dramatic. Yes, you heard me right, dramatic. And by that I mean you could lose the game very, very quickly. I'm going to show you some examples. In this game, white played e4. Good move. Control of the center. Nothing wrong with it. Now black goes b6, which is slightly unusual. It's not a terrible move, it's not a bad move, I must admit, but I do not recommend that you play this move. d4, bishop to b7, the pawn is under attack, so we protect it. Now that pawn on e4 is protected. And in this position, black now should go e6, but instead of that he tried f5, a very ambitious move. Now the e-pawn is under attack, and if we take the black pawn on f5 like this, then we open up this diagonal, the b7 to g2 diagonal, and then we could lose our rook. But black has played rather superficially, because when he takes that pawn, he's forgetting about the weakness of the h5 to e8 diagonal. Queen to h5 check, the king is in check, the only move is to block that check with g6, and then we take. We are threatening a discovered checkmate with g7. So in this position, black now played knight to f6, which is a big blunder. He only expected g7, which is probably a winning move, attacking the rook, and when he takes our queen, we take his rook, we get another queen, and then we take on h7. It looks like a completely winning position. But there's something much quicker. We take on h7, a very elegant chess move. Now the queen is attacking the king, so the only move is to take the queen, and here we go, bishop to g6, checkmate. Yeah, he deserves it. Why? Because he weakened the h5 to e8 diagonal, and that's what will happen to you if you do the same thing. Do not move your f-pawn. There will come a time when you're good enough to understand when moving your f-pawn is all right, but right now, forget it. It gets you into trouble. It'll get you into trouble all the time, once and again. So forget about moving your f-pawn. Let's see another example. d4, knight to f6, and now look at this move. I mean, why? Look at that move. That's not a good square for the knight. We said that the best squares for the knights are c3 and f3. If you move your knight to d2, look at this poor bishop. It can't move. It's blocked. It's like a traffic jam. You know, we want to get our pieces out. What's the knight doing there? Not a good option. So black now goes e5, attacking our d-pawn. Interesting move. And now when he takes, the knight comes to g4, attacking the pawn on e5. Now there's a problem here, because if we try to hang on to that pawn by means of f4, this is what happens. The knight comes to e3. And look at that. The queen is now lost. If only this knight was on c3 rather than d2, knight e3 wouldn't be possible, would it? There you go. So in the game, white didn't play f4, he played knight to f3, knight from g to f3, which is a much better move. And now black went bishop to e7, a very cunning move. White should go e3 in this position and complete his development, you know, get his bishop out and so on. I must say that this position is all right for white. I mean, you know, no big deal. But instead of that, he moved his h-pawn, which is a big blunder. Yes, sure, the knight is under attack, but there is a little surprise now, because black can go knight to e3 and attacking the queen. And now I know that you're thinking, well, you know, what's white's crime in this position? He hasn't moved his f-pawn. Well, the problem is black is going to force him to move his f-pawn or else lose the queen. I guess losing the queen is better than getting checkmated. And that's exactly what happened in this game. White should move his f-pawn. Although, admittedly, at this stage it doesn't really matter because black's going to win the queen anyway. If you take, then look at that weak diagonal, bishop to h4, check, and when you take it, he takes back with his queen. When you block it, he takes that pawn, and there you go. That's checkmate. The game is over. That's what happens when you move your f-pawn.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.